Now, Talk Real Estate, sponsored by Boston Connect Real Estate Services.
Hi, I'm Sharon McNamara, and you are listening to Talk Real Estate. Let me share a little bit about my background before we get started. I am the broker-owner of Boston Connect Real Estate, located on the South Shore, and I have been working as a full-time realtor and sales and marketing consultant for home buyers and home sellers for the past 15 years. My unique approach to assisting my clients to the next chapter of their lives is driven by being a team player and by offering them continuous training, education, advising, and mentoring. Every week, I will be providing you with real estate topics ranging from home buyer and home seller advice, legal matters, insurance binders, flood insurance concerns, home inspection questions, environmental worries like radon, lead paint, and mold, mortgages and loan programs, staging tips and ideas, real estate contracts, market trends, home values, and more. It's a talk radio show, and you can follow along online. If you have any questions during the show, please call 781-837-4900. We'd love to talk real estate. If you missed any of our shows, you can listen on my podcast at talkrealestateradio.com. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me regarding your home sale or your home purchase, you can connect with me anytime at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000. Now, sit back, relax, take good notes, and let's talk real estate.
And hello to all our South Shore neighbors. This is Talk Real Estate with Sharon McNamara. Actually, we're doing Talk Real Estate Roundtable. I see it. My head is ingrained.
We are in front of a round table.
We are in front of a round table. I am joined in studio tonight. My name is Mary Baker. I am with Melissa Wallace, and we have our team members Sharon McNamara and Dustin Hughes joining us via Zoom. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Nice to see your faces.
I just saw you.
Oh, that's true. I was just with you. Well, my how I forget so easily.
Mary is so nervous about taking the helm on this show.
Do.
Like, it's making me laugh.
That's okay, Mary. Push over. I'm back.
Much appreciated. This is not my forte. I joked. I said I don't have a voice for radio. I have a face for camera. Just joking. Anyway, so we are going to be talking. We have a special guest with us tonight. We're going to be talking everything you need to know when purchasing new construction or selling new construction. And I think that's near and dear to our hearts, right, guys?
Yes, it is. And we'll explain why it's near and dear to our hearts. And I think maybe we should wait until after the break to have our special guest introduce himself, or Mary can introduce him. But, tonight we're going to be talking about all things new construction. So everything you need to know when you're considering new construction, whether it's, moving from the city and coming down to the suburbs down here, or,
how COVID-19 has impacted.
Yeah, how COVID-19 has impacted new construction positively and possibly negatively. Who knows? And so new construction, new home, the difference between purchasing a model home and doing a new build and building your fantasy home.
Lots of good tidbits tonight.
Yeah, lots of good tidbits tonight. Yep.
Lisa is standing by if you'd like to go early.
Awesome.
Oh, perfect. Well, I haven't talked to Lisa in a while. So, Lisa, it's Melissa over at Boston Connect Real Estate. You are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. So, if you could let all of our listeners know how they're going to get home tonight, we would really appreciate it. Lisa?
Well, thanks, Melissa, and nice to hear from you. It's been a while. The expressway southbound's inching along from the tunnel to Columbia Road. Northbound's a 10-minute ride from Braintree to Boston. Routes 3 south and 24 south are in good shape, and 93 is an easy ride in either direction between Braintree and Canton. This report is sponsored by Amazon. Amazon is hiring. Start delivering smiles this holiday season that can make someone's every day. Enjoy benefits and flexible shifts. Go to Amazon.com/apply. Amazon's an equal opportunity employer. Traffic on the 9s every morning. I'm Lisa DeMilo in the WATD Traffic Center.
We now return to Talk Real Estate, sponsored by Boston Connect Real Estate Services on 95.9 WATD.
And we are back. You are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable with Boston Connect Real Estate's Broker Team. And tonight we have the one, the only Eoghan Kelley from Stonebridge Homes joining us tonight. Mary, why don't you do his formal introduction since you work so closely with Eoghan?
Ladies, can I interrupt just real quick before we get to Eoghan?
Of course you can.
Sorry, I said that I wanted you guys to take the helm, but today was a very, very... we all knew that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
No, but I just wanted to take one little special moment because our WATD listeners have, I've been on WATD for maybe 15 years now, and you followed along with my life with the girls, and Casey, as everybody knows, graduated from BU Law School. She took the bar exam in October, and she got engaged soon thereafter to Dustin Hughes. Eoghan, I don't know if you knew that. No. And yes, and she found out today. Dustin, you want to give everyone the news?
Yeah, she passed the bar exam today.
Congratulations, Miss McNamara.
Yay! So we're so super excited and super proud of Casey, and she will be starting her new job at Ropes and Gray come January. So congratulations, Casey May. Mama is very, very proud of you. And as Daddy would say, you are officially off of our payroll.
And your sisters are proud of you too.
Yeah, and we can't wait to get free legal advice.
Yeah, we sent her something today. So it was from myself, Mary, and Michelle Obama because she's her favorite.
And Eoghan, you have a very long way to go, my friend.
Okay, Mary, floor is yours.
Floor is mine. Okay, so we have Eoghan Kelley from Stonebridge Homes who is joining us tonight. He is one of the developers for our new builds that we're constantly talking about, so Copperwood Circle and Bristol Estates, but not just that. They do everything really across the South Shore and across the South Coast. You have, 12 or 20 active communities right now? Like
12 or 20.
12 or 20, somewhere around there. I think Rami said 25 the other day, and I was like, 25?
It might feel that way some days.
But... So, Eoghan, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about what you do and the company, and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm with Stonebridge Homes. We, like Mary said, we are a new construction builder. We've been around for about 30 years, actually probably 35 years now. And we do all sorts of new construction, from single-family homes to condo complexes to large multifamily buildings. If it's residential construction, we do it. We've been pretty much Massachusetts only for a long time, so we're very familiar with the area. We've done a lot of different style homes, so I like to think we've hit a real niche here.
Kind of done a little bit of it all, right?
Right.
So like you said, I know you have a couple of 55 plus communities that you've done. I think you have one in Lakeville right now that's active. You have kind of almost 3 different types of houses that are going on.
3 different phases.
3. Well, I think some of them are condos, some of them are single families, and then there's a 55 plus community phase. And then us over at Copperwood Circle and Bristol Estates, we're just straight single family homes. So it's kind of nice that you have your hands in everything and you're very familiar with everything. Mm-hmm. But Eoghan is like our go-to guy. So I say that he rues the day he ever gave us his cell phone number, because I constantly am stalking him at this point. But we work very, very closely, which I love, because that's not an experience that both buyers and agents always have with their builders, right? Mm-hmm. So it's very, very personal, and it's very kind of like big family oriented, which I think is something that you guys bring to the table from a new construction perspective that not all builders can say. Because I know, like, we joke like we're family sometimes and like we're friends, but when you have to get down to business, it's nice to be able to call up and say, hey, I need this right now. What can we do? Mm-hmm. So just
one of the things that I like, I had met Bisher at that first one, Equestrian, so I don't even know how many years ago that was. And
like 2014.
Was it? Yeah.
2015. Like, that's crazy.
So like 5 or 6 years ago. And, for me, all I have is the reputation that I've worked so hard for all these years. And a lot of builders have come to me and asked me to list their properties and market for them. I've been on different boards in the town and things like that. And I always felt like there was a different motive for them wanting me to, be with them. And then there was a part of me that just felt like I don't feel good representing what they're actually selling. So I've actually given up subdivisions in the past based on that. And I just had this really good feeling because I'm very empathic. But one of the things I really liked about, and I'll say loved because I did, what about Eoghan and Bisher was the company itself it's big enough to do the things that the bigger companies are doing, but their mentality is very, like you would say, like a smaller family owned company that from a relationship, wanting that relationship. If something comes up with one of the houses, like Eoghan being there, Bisher being there, like I've never seen developers that are that hands-on, and that gave me comfort. So that's one of the things I appreciate about Eoghan and Stonebridge Homes.
Completely agree. Much more articulate way of saying what I was trying to say. I haven't quite mastered your accuracy for descriptions yet, so I'll get there eventually. But Dusty, you want to start us off on our conversation here?
Yeah, of course. Oh, and I say this every time we have some of the great guests we do, is that I get to embrace my naive sense of some of the stuff we're talking about. So forgive me if I'm not at the same level as my lovely teammates, but it's nice. It's nice. I always say I'm learning just as much as the people listening, which is a good thing. But we'll get right to it. When we're talking about new construction, what are the major benefits? What are the big factors that probably initially draw people to the idea of it?
Okay. Well, I think definitely sort of some people, and I've just learned this from doing open houses over at Copperwood and Bristol, is that, some people who come in, they might have a vision of what they want, and they might start to describe it, and we say, oh, we have a floor plan that's exactly like that. Or someone might come in and say, I have no idea what I want, I just want something. And then we sort of work with it. And because we have so many floor plans, especially over at Copperwood, and as we got further in the development, we, added more in, we're able to make those customizations and the changes to, it's not just a boxed floor plan. So, I think that is appealing to people, is to be able to sort of design, in a sense, your own home with people who know what they're doing.
Well, I think, absolutely. I think the main reason is, so if you're going to tag number one reason people go new construction is the process of customizing the home and low maintenance. So when you're thinking of a new house, you're thinking everything that I'm walking into is brand new. Nobody's lived in this before. I don't have to worry about the roof, having to replace the roof, or, the appliances being older, or having to redo a kitchen. I think number one, that spearheads the conversation when they're thinking new construction. That's the number one advantage, I would say. Or benefits in choosing, right? So all of the systems are new. Usually there's benefits with doing new construction in the sense of you're getting a home warranty. So I think that drives buyers into our communities. Owen, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean,
everything I just said.
Usually the first thing that people talk about with new construction is, I just don't want to do anything. I just want to move into the house and I want it to all work. I don't want to be fixing things on a regular basis, and that's a huge pro of new construction. But the customization is huge as well. We get a lot of people who come in who have seen a lot of people. We open up Pinterest boards right away, and I've seen this, I've seen this, I've seen this. Can we do all this in a house? And it's a lot of fun to take what they've seen and actually translate it into something that is real.
Well, that's one thing that I love that you guys do, and I've seen you do it so many times especially now with our Zoom meetings, is, and we just did it for one of the buyers over at Bristol Estates, bringing them live into that CAD system that you have and literally redesigning a complete and total exterior of the house to replicate exactly what they had in their head. And we must have sat down with them 4, 5, 6 times over an hour, just to get the design absolutely perfect, and make sure that they're getting exactly what they needed, because they had a very specific vision in their minds of what they wanted. So I find that with new construction, people come in and they're like, I don't necessarily know what I want until I see it, but I know what I want when I see it. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Because I feel like that's kind of how they know exactly what they don't want.
That's what I was just going to say. I feel like it's easier to tell somebody, I don't like this. I don't want this in my house. Mm-hmm. Although, but I don't know what I want. I just know that I don't like that.
Very true. But I actually, so while we're talking about like the major customizations that come with the house, it, like you said, it's fun to kind of talk to them and say, okay, well, what were you envisioning and how can we match that? How can we make that work so that it's, it might not be right on par with, you know, if they were paying, you know, $20,000 for a bathroom, you know what I mean? You could pay $20,000 for a bathroom. I really hope you don't. But getting a similar to what they want while keeping them in the budget that they want to be in. So like there's a budget for everybody that can be in new construction, right? So you just have to stay there. And so now I'm going off on a tangent of the things that I like about you guys. But that's another thing that I like is alternative. So it's like, okay, well, this is my budget, right? So say our budget is $650,000. You could go crazy in new construction. So this is kind of like a con of new construction. You could go crazy designing the dream house and saying, you know, I want everything that I've ever seen on a Pinterest board. And I want, you know, 10-foot ceilings and vaulted this. And, you know, I want mahogany decking and just anything that you could possibly think of. You could go and spend a lot of money really quickly. Something that I like about Stonebridge and the way that you guys approach it is, let me tell you what I think you should do now for resale value, which is harder to do later on down the road. And if we have room left over, great, we'll do a couple of things. But if we need to peel back on that budget so that you're saving money on the things that, you know, you could do easily later on down the road. And that's a conversation that I think buyers, almost like a reality check for buyers, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Bring it back down a little bit. Because you show me a picture, I could spend money like nobody's business.
Mm-hmm. We all could.
I could spend anybody's money.
Yeah. Where do we get it?
There's a money tree at the McNamara's house, actually. So we got to go there.
There is.
I'm kidding.
Owen, actually, can I ask a question? I mean, do you find that people, you know, that's one of the biggest things, like just add this, is like trying to scale back some? Or what do you think the biggest, I don't know,
hurdle?
Yeah, hurdle is. Like, I just feel like people, of course, everybody wants the best of everything. I don't know anything about a lawnmower, but I could still pick out the most expensive one.
That's what I mean.
The one of the biggest challenges is everybody has different expectations of what comes with a certain amount of money. And so it's different from person to person to person to person. We'll have some people who will say, oh, what do you mean this doesn't come in this level house? And what do you mean this doesn't come in this level house? So what we try to do when people come in is lay out everything as much as we can that'll be in the house. And then we usually have a process where we sit down, we say, okay, what are all the things that you want? Like, what are all the things that you'd like to have in the house? What are your musts? What are your would-like, and what are your little dream items? We lay all of that out, and then we try to break down, okay, this one's going to be very expensive. This one is very inexpensive. And we try to build, you know, basically as much of that as we can into the budget that they have.
Like a nice happy medium. Like, let's not build the Taj Mahal. Let's build what's appropriately priced for the area and for you guys. And then you can make it your own. That's the benefit too, is when you come into the house, you can make it your own down the way, right? If you want to change anything or...
Owen, I just want to let you know that our biggest fan who listens to us every Tuesday is my mother. And she's already texting me everything that she wants in her dream home. So, so maybe we can get the last lot in Copperwood for her.
We're saving it for you.
And she can just build what she wants, okay? But yeah, I'm getting the whole list.
Well, then we'll have everybody in Pembroke. We won't have to ever leave.
Yeah.
Not that I ever do now anyway.
I know. I live and work on the same street. I don't really leave anymore. I don't leave Matakeesis Street ever. That's why it's taken me so long to put so many miles on my car. Anyways, all right. So can we think of any other like major benefits? So, you know, obviously a new construction home is brand new. It's never been used by another human being. So
So on that, can I ask a general question? Does it matter? And I guess it just because this has never really occurred to me. does it really matter if somebody has never lived in the house before? Like, why is that really a draw for people? Can somebody explain that to me? Like, oh, it's never been lived in. It's a one owner house, or, it's people say that to me all the time. I just don't want to let somebody else.
I'll tell you why.
Well, tell me.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I don't want to be walking on anybody else's funk ever.
So like you think of the funk being like in the carpets and in the tile, like when you scrub.
Weirdly, when I go into older houses, I can just picture like, somebody like clipping their toenails and like weird gross thing. Yeah. I don't know how I felt. And here's the other thing too. And Owen, just jump in.
That's why you're so good at
Roundtable. It's because one of the things is we take new construction so seriously, and we got bombarded with reservations right after sort of like the COVID hit, and then people started waking up again and moving out of the city and coming our way. I mean, we put so much emphasis, and for me, like so much detail that goes into this, because we want everybody's home to be perfect the way that they want it, perfect for them. That we actually, at that point, is when we brought on Dustin full time to the McNamara Broker Team, so Mary can concentrate on Copperwood and Bristol. And Owen, do you feel as if that helped? Because it's sort of, it looks like I'm taking the back seat, but I'm not. I mean, we're having meetings. I'm part of the meetings, but there's the one person.
It is very helpful. It is very helpful because, I mean, so Copperwood has 34 houses in it.
Mm-hmm.
The first 19 took 3 years to sell?
Yeah, we started February 2018.
Right, or so 2 years to sell, essentially.
And don't add a year on to us. Come on.
Well, it was a year before that. It was a year before
we're building some models and things like that.
Doing the roads,
but so 2 full years to sell. The second 14 has been 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. I don't know where my life has gone.
So having one person, and essentially we have one team that's there. Mm-hmm. The two of us and Dan. Meeting regularly every week, discussing every single house that's going on. I think that helps keep everybody up to date on a regular basis. So yeah.
And two, because there's such an easy way for there to be so many loopholes. I mean, that's one of the things with new construction is it's very exciting, but there are so many different processes where, I'm not with you right now, but when we were doing equestrian, for example, we'd be walking through a house with somebody and they'd be like, oh, can I do this? Yeah, let's do that. And then it's like, all right, who's adding it? And that's why I just thought with Mary, I go, it will be way too confusing if me and Melissa and you are all there, because we're going to be, was that lot what? Lot who? So yeah, I feel like it really worked out really well. So Mary had the choice if she wanted to do Copperwood or if she wanted to do everything else. And I did Copperwood and she did everything else. And Owen, she chose you.
Oh, excellent. I'm happy about it.
Yeah. I do, but I've always enjoyed new construction because Sharon, I look back on it and legitimately I started with you at Crescent Hill Farms in new construction. So I always say, if I didn't learn that way right off the bat and I was stuck in like a resale mode, it would be very hard to push me in the other direction. But it's almost like new construction is a little bit natural, right? Because it's just something that you familiarized me with. And I enjoy it. And I love seeing all the nuances and answering the questions. I like when I have the answer to the question. Let's put it that way. If I don't have the answer, I'm like, shoot, I'll find out for you.
It makes it all that much more important. Like you said, you being used to it, having a team that's working together, because you could assume that essentially everyone you're working with as clients is a first-time new construction home buyer. I feel like it is rare to find someone who has already gone through this process. So it's brand new to everyone. And so, like you said, expectations are all over the place and no one is 100% sure how the whole thing's going to go. So having people that are in cahoots, talking regularly, meeting regularly, have done it 33 times previously for one lot or one development, I'm sure makes it a lot easier for everyone.
And something I have one point that I want to talk about for a pro for new construction and things. What do we call it? A benefit of new construction. But, oh no, Sharon, I pulled a U. I just lost my complete and total train of thought.
Is it what I just told you?
I know. I was going to say something else. Oh, I think it's a living, breathing thing. So at the beginning of every development, you always, or at the beginning of anything, you have kinks that you work out, right? But then you fine tune every process and everything gets so much more streamlined. And I've seen the growth, throughout the community. We've been down there for almost 2 years, going on 3 years now. So it really is, it's become completely streamlined, in my opinion. There's a process for everything, and it just gets better and better. But the point that we were talking about just real briefly was a benefit to new construction being the warranty programs that you guys offer. So I know, especially now, so you guys have Quality Home Builders that you guys are associated with, Stonebridge Home is associated with, and it's through Liberty Mutual, right? Mm-hmm. That gives a warranty for actually 10 years on a new property. Yep. So everybody in the second phase of our community down at Copperwood Circle is getting a 10-year warranty, which anybody who knows anything about new construction, that's like unheard of.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
I've never heard of that. Have you ever heard of that, Sharon?
No. Owen, can you explain it a little bit more for our listeners?
Yeah, so this is a new program for Stonebridge. We were approached by Quality Home Builders, and they have a pretty impressive system. Unlike sometimes you hear about home warranties where you can buy into them and they last a certain amount of time. This one is actually backed by an insurance company, which is they actually come and they evaluate us as a company. So a lot of other ones are like those extended warranties that you get calls from for your car, like the random spam call. Today. Hey, come buy the warranty. But holy crap, is it going to be a battle to get anything done? Mm-hmm. This place is really amazing. They sent out crews to come and inspect our quality of work, make sure it matched up to their bar, and then basically now we're able to offer this 10-year program. Certain things are covered for a year, certain are covered for 2 years, and then certain things are covered all the way to 10 years. And that's backed by Liberty Mutual, so nobody's going anywhere, which is really exciting. Yeah.
And you gave all your agents across all of your communities too, like a whole day training session on it, where somebody from Quality Home Builders came on and actually presented everything to us so we would understand it and be able to explain it to buyers and sellers, which I was just like amazed by the whole entire thing. I really was. Like, I want to buy it. Oh, and the other thing with that's important to note is it's actually transferable.
Right.
So that 10-year warranty, hopefully you're buying a new construction house and you're not selling in 1 or 2 years. But if you did, maybe because of relocation or job changes, whatever circumstance changes, you have a warranty that you could then sell. Well, not really sell, but pass on.
Right, but pass along with the house. Right, yeah. Exactly.
And who gets to say that? Like nobody.
Yeah. People who buy a Stonebridge home house.
There you go. You're telling you people.
Help myself.
You want to your own warranty number. Yeah. My house didn't come with a warranty. Oh, important note to say, Owen was actually the one who designed our in-law.
Yes.
So everybody hears me talking about the in-law all the time. And he loves antique houses, and we have an antique house. So we thought it would be an absolutely great fit. And he replicated what our old barn kind of was and made the in-law. And I got to say, I love it.
Yeah. And most importantly, Holly loves it.
True.
She's the one who lives in it.
True.
So he
that is the highest of praises.
Yeah. And
you had some amazing ideas. I'm telling you, without your ideas, we would be in a world of hurt.
Yeah,
let's put it that way.
Yeah. I've heard Holly say, I'm glad he suggested that. This works really well. I'm really glad that we did that. Like, okay, Holly. But we've been enjoying it ourselves too. Going in there for Thanksgiving.
Let's just say it's warmer on that side of the house.
It's warmer and it's cool. It has AC. Anyways, we love it.
Sorry.
And so great design. But yeah,
reel it in, ladies.
Yeah, no, what?
I feel like I digress.
For anyone who tuned in 45 seconds ago and hasn't heard one thing, reminder, you're listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable with the McNamara Broker Team, joined here by Owen Kelley. Any questions regarding new construction, please call Ben at WATD 781-837-4900. Again, that's 781-837-4900.
And Ben will forward you to us. Ben's not going to answer your questions.
I mean, I could, but I don't think I'm qualified enough to make good calls, right?
I was going to say, Ben, you're learning so much. You could probably answer the question.
You probably could.
I mean, I could definitely pass for front desk. That's for sure. I don't know, but I'll get you to someone who can. Hold on one moment.
Owen, I had a question for you, and I was just wondering, do you want to let our listeners know exactly what your role is at Stonebridge? I know when we started, you were sort of more hands-on, with the hammer and nail, sleeping in your car, and then you've progressed on.
He didn't live in his car, just to clarify.
I was just telling my wife, I was like, hey, I'm going on with the Boston Connect team. They're probably going to mention the time I slept in my car outside of the house.
It was so much dedication there. Well, you were living up in New Hampshire at the time, so
yeah, exactly.
That was a long ride.
Yeah, it was, hey, we were finishing up tomorrow. Why drive 3 hours home and 3 hours back? Well,
I think that's logic to me.
6 extra hours.
If that had happened today, I think we're close enough at this point where I would have been like, Owen, like, you can stay at my house. Like, it's going to be okay. You're sleeping in your car.
I remember, Sharon, the first time I ever took Owen over to your house to show, I remember we were showing him your kitchen for some reason. You weren't there and you were so nervous. You were like, can you make sure my house is clean before you let him come in? He's a new client, Mary. And I go, your house is always spotless. And I go, I would eat off your floors. I don't know what you mean.
That's so funny. So Owen, what is your, what are your roles now? And like, what are you doing for Stonebridge and for the homeowners?
Yeah. So to kind of tie it into something we were talking about earlier, Stonebridge is we like to say we're pretty proud of the size that we are, in that we do have a lot of subdivisions going on. I think we have 12 active subdivisions and then 21, including all the upcoming ones. So we do have a lot going on that allows us to have access to some really good pricing and options and relationships with certain vendors. It gives us the ability to deliver a lot closer, to deliver on time. Whereas you hear these horror stories of people who don't close for 6 months or a year after they've signed up for the new house. Like, we have, 4 plumbers to draw from and 6 HVAC guys and stuff like that. So it really allows us to kind of set things up and hold the schedule, which especially now is difficult to do with everybody being so busy. On the flip side of that is that while I have site supers running each individual site, it allows me to stay involved with each house pretty much personally. So whether it's just from a design aspect, sitting down, taking their comments and putting it out, or actually meeting and doing like on-site inspections and things like that, we as a company all know what's going on kind of across the board. And I think that allows us all to stay a lot more in tune with new aspects of design, new technical challenges that pop up in the field, as opposed to kind of having separate powers. We're all involved in the process. And we really like that. We sit down once a month, everybody from the company, and just talk about things that we've seen over the last month. What cool. Popped up here, what's going on with our new foundation plan, what new products have we seen that people have recommended. Oh, we had an issue with this ERV system. Is this, a permanent thing, or should we look for a new product? Stuff like that. So I think that really keeps us all in tune with the new things that are happening.
I love that. So it's kind of like constantly getting better, constantly reevaluating what works good, what doesn't, what you have to do, what's better. I like that. I like that.
And I think, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say,
I like that the meetings that you do now, I'm sorry, with us weekly as well. Like those meetings, I think that's there's something new that sort of happened as well too. And, everybody, so you're also on the same page with the people who are marketing your properties, which I think is really helpful because everybody's hearing what is going on.
Yeah, I love those meetings. I think it's been a game changer since you guys even started them with us, just to, I think we were still in mid-phase 2, so it was a little bit slower. Now we're super, super busy. There's so much to be updated on and so much to have conversations with, getting everybody on the same page and making sure that, just little things, quick question, quick answer, and then move on. I love them.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many moving parts. Literally, you're building a house. There's lots of parts that goes into that, so to be doing it on such a grand scale with, we got so many reservations all at once and, they held it together. So we all, moved forward and we're all building these houses all at once. And, so the meetings are very helpful. It's all about communication. And when you are able to communicate about, what's going on, it usually goes pretty smoothly when everybody's on the same page. So the Wednesday meetings are super, super helpful. And I think that, it's a great implementation for us. And, hopefully, I know that you do it with the other developments as well, that we're not a part of, but, obviously moving forward, this is something that,
will stick.
And we implemented this as well as a team. We talk every single morning and make sure that we're all on the same page. And we're trying to be a well-oiled machine as well. So, they work. Communication is key, people.
Yeah. Controversy only arises when expectations differ, right? So I think that that's why it's so important to do that. And I love that they're committed to doing it. And it just makes it better for the people who are, building homes, because we've heard a lot of horror stories about that process.
Yeah, for sure.
We got about 10 minutes before we have to take our 7:00 break. Dustin, should we move on to the next section?
Yeah, we can wrap up kind of pros still. Oh, we talked about a lot of big ones, a lot of big ticket items. Is there anything that you see from your end that people start experiencing or really desiring that, might not stick out to the average consumer?
Well, one thing that a lot of people don't realize about new construction, there are a couple energy-related items that have changed drastically in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So insulation in a house from 2001 is completely different than a house in 2020. Even insulation from 2010, 2012 has changed drastically to now. So much so that that's one of the constant topics in our discussions that we have every month is about, okay, what are the new requirements that went into effect? How do we meet them? How do we make sure we're predicting, what challenges that might arise from those new requirements? So that's one of the biggest things. I mean, we're seeing energy bills, that drop from, $300 a month to heat your house down to $75, for a 3,000 square foot house.
Wow.
So it's pretty incredible what has changed in that field.
One of the things too is that new one that came up this year in the garage with the electrical. Don't you have to do something? Yeah, explain that to our listeners.
So there's a whole new set. This is kind of on the same thing with energy, but Massachusetts now is requiring that all homes now are both solar ready and electric car ready. All right. So there's an electric car. It's just an electric outlet, but it's in there prepped for an electric vehicle. And then there is piping run, so that way you can run solar panels in the future down from the attic. So that's, again, another thing that now becomes standard in a new home, as opposed to a $10,000 project to, tear open walls and run new wiring down.
That actually makes me so happy to hear and to see, because just global warming, and because I'm a big believer in global warming. I mean, we were, in the 60s just a week ago in November.
Yeah, you look like you're in global warming right now. With your hat.
Freezing.
You have a hat on and your sweater. Global warming.
I'm only doing this to hide my forehead that's going to have lines on it right now. But no, I am. I'm always cold. So, but that's something that I just really appreciate builders or the state taking seriously and putting regulations into place so that we can do things more energy efficiently. What?
I was telling myself a joke in my head. I was just saying that we have to do that because when aliens take over, they have to charge their spaceship. I'm only saying that because I saw on the news that they were confirming
they were taking over?
that aliens exist, but
just taking over the world and moving into Copperwood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness they had that electric charger there.
Aliens don't use gas. I mean, they have to charge their spaceship somehow. We'll have
Ben's at the studio. Ben's gonna get all these phone calls later. Like, I tuned in and I heard that
there's aliens. No, have you not watched the news yesterday or today?
Literally made it from galaxies away, but need enough energy to get to Stop and Shop.
Well, okay, so let's just back it up a little bit. So maybe Copperwood is putting it in there so people can put their Tesla in there or something like that. Okay.
Yes.
All right. But we'll go to Tesla before we go to spaceship.
Excellent.
Oh, that was perfect.
Would it make anybody laugh to know that that's my ringtone?
It really is.
And are there any other things too? So I know we were talking about, so far you talked about energy and then the electrical with new codes and everything. I thought that maybe the last time I was in one of the models, but I don't know if it was here, if I was in one of the other ones. It was the radon. Are you putting something in for the radon now before?
Well, all our homes we build to a radon resistant spec. So it's like a passive radon resistance. So that's not a Massachusetts requirement, but there are a couple of things that Stonebridge does. So one of those is a French drain in the bottom of your basement. Okay. So because we've been building a lot of houses across the board, we know what issues have popped up in different conditions in different places. So what we try to do is design our base house to be ready for any kind of issue, no matter where we are building. So one of the things that we built for that is the French drain. So all of our houses come with crushed stone underneath and piping ready for a sump pump. Now, new construction, this is the other nice thing, engineering has gotten so strict and so advanced that you don't see water issues like you used to. Like, people aren't getting creative with putting the houses down in the water line. I mean, all the houses in Copperwood are built 8 feet in the air for the reason that, hey, they're perfectly protected from any kind of water. But regardless of that, we still design our houses to have that protection in place. Mm-hmm. Another one is radon. So while we don't do like an active fan or anything like that, what we do is it's called radon resistant construction. There's a vapor barrier underneath the floor, and then there's a pipe that runs through the ceiling, through the roof of the house. So if you in the future need to add a radon pipe, it's not a huge pipe you have to stick on the outside of your house.
Mm. Well, and that's one of the things too is all these, I will say, extra things that you do. And I think that that's the important too for all of our listeners, before we go to the 7:00 break, to understand is when you are thinking about new construction, you definitely should be working with an agent, whether it's us or another one that definitely knows the ins and outs of new construction, and that the contractors and builders know, because I think that some of these things that you don't see, Owen, are probably more important than the granite counters or the stainless steel, right? So
absolutely.
And I don't think that people put a value on those items, and that people are like, wow, new construction can get expensive. People are willing to pay whatever they want for a growy faucet, but then if you tell them that you have all this extra crushed stone under the house, they tend to lose sight of how important that is. And I think it's just amazing that you do all these things because it's preventative. It's not because you need it, it's preventative so it never happens. And that has huge value. So I think that would be a good way for us to segue into what we're going to talk about after the 7:00 break. You guys want to take that?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you, Sharon. There's so many things and so many factors that have to do with building a home that, might be you can't see, or, even I don't know. There's just so many things that go into building a home that are very important that, the average person doesn't see day to day. Yeah. But it's something like the countertops or even the flooring or anything like that. Like, those can all be changed, fairly easily, down the line. So you don't have to get the best of the best right out of the gate. perhaps it is, doing the sort of the hidden stuff that are super important and will help with the longevity of, maintaining your house. And that's what's important. Yeah. The colors and certain things you can change over time. Trends go away, they come back, and they go away again.
Brass is back.
Brass is back. So. Okay, well, we're going to be taking our 7:00 break, but when we return, we will be continuing our conversation with Eoghan Kelley from Stonebridge Homes. So we will be back in a few minutes.
We now return to Talk Real Estate, sponsored by Boston Connect Real Estate Services on 95.9 WATD.
And we are back. You are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable with Boston Connect Real Estate's broker team. Tonight, we're joined by Eoghan Kelley from Stonebridge Homes. He is one of the developers we are working with for Copperwood Circle and Bristol Estates. But if you want to listen to any of our past shows, you can go to talkrealestateroundtable.com. You can go onto your podcast app or iTunes, Spotify, and search Talk Real Estate Roundtable. You can search any of our names because, again, we're so famous. But you should be following us on social media. So on Facebook and Instagram, we are McNamara Broker Team and Boston Connect Real Estate. You can go to bostonconnect.com. You can get all of our contact information there, or you can give me a call here at the office, 781-826-8000, and I will connect you with whoever you would like to speak to. If it's not me, I hope it's me. But anyways, we're going to get back to it. I know, Sharon, you have some stats that you want to talk about when it comes to new construction, and then we'll jump right back into our discussion with Eoghan.
Great. So everybody knows how I love Lawrence Yun. He is the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors, and he did a forecasting for 2021 today with Brian Buffini, who is a real estate coach out there in the world. And I was able to get bits and pieces of it. And I'm actually going to try to forward this over to Eoghan and Bisher tomorrow. But one thing I wanted to read was that he is forecasting a 20% total growth in new home sales for 2020. That's just 2020. And he expects the upward trend to jump even higher for next year. And he's forecasting a 21% jump in new home sales. So only 9% jump in existing home sales, but new construction is jumping up even again next year, 21%. So I think, one of the things that they're saying is that for so long, there was a period in that 2010 period when, there was, sort of construction sort of took a back seat for a little bit and wasn't as active. It's almost like you guys can't keep up right now. And I think a lot of that has to do with also getting your subs in there. I was down at Copperwood last week and with Mary, and we were showing a lot to somebody. And honestly, I was in there. I was like, there's a plumber, there's an electrician, there's somebody else doing something, there's sealant, doing the roads. Like, it was like, I felt like I was on a movie set. It was just,
took the words right out of my mouth.
Isn't it? It's
last
just
time
amazing.
I was in phase 2. Yeah. It was so funny.
To be down there. So, Eoghan, I mean, you're seeing that here. And I'm sure all your other developments are seeing it. Do you agree with what Lawrence Yun has said about the 20% growth for 2020? And are you excited to hear about his expert opinion for next year?
Absolutely. That's definitely exciting. It's almost like a faucet has come on to some degree. And there's this whole backlog of people who I think have been waiting, wondering, when do I buy a house, especially in the millennial generation. I think there's a lot of people who were just on edge about when do I make that shift, or when is that an option for me? And I think a lot of them now are seeing that's a possibility there.
Yeah. The other thing that they were saying too is that what he was saying is, and we've been saying similar things. We talked about the millennials a couple weeks ago, and they're ready to go. Some of them can't jump into new construction and the cost, the price point where we are. Some of them can because they've been home in dad's basement, mom's basement, saving. But what we're going to see, because so many businesses now realize that they can work remotely and they don't need these big commercial properties, with rents, that now people are going to be in their smaller homes and they're going to realize how much smaller it really is when, mom's in one room working, dad's in another room, the kids are here. They are going to need bigger homes, which is great for new construction. So we can push them into, these new construction developments. And finally, those smaller homes will open up again for our seniors and our boomers to get out of the 4-bedroom resale colonials into the 1 levels and smaller homes. So that's my prediction, to see how well that goes too. It's all good news for us.
Yeah, right?
I think that's absolutely what we've been seeing.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to have, like what you were talking about before, kind of the resale value. So you have a shift in what people are looking for and what their expectations are and what they want in a house. But it still needs to be aligned with the financial investment they're making and how it's going to serve them when their time at that house is over. So again, going through new construction and having someone who's done this dance before is incredibly valuable.
That's a very valid point, Dustin, is that, that's one thing we talk about all the time is new construction. And Mary mentioned that earlier. Oh, and I love when you'll sit down with that CAD program. I can't be around it all the time because I'm taking walls down all over the place and adding things. But
is this structural?
Yeah. But, remember, we did have a conversation with somebody one time and they wanted to do something. And I just raised my hand and I said, you have to do what you think is best for your home. But you should think about resale value, because I think they were taking out a bedroom or something. I remember something about that. But you're really good about helping people with that process, because when you're building a house for someone, when they leave, your stamp is still on it for that next owner, whether it's a resale or not. So I think that's great, because we were saying earlier, the things you don't see are the things that are the most important, right? Mm-hmm. So that's my two cents.
I feel like we've been experiencing COVID long enough to potentially have kind of different impacts for new construction. Has there been a continual, was there a drastic impact when this all begun, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and opposed to maybe the latter 4 months?
Yeah, I'm wondering if I should take that first, and then Owen, I'll let you say from your kind of manufacturing standpoint, like the building process. Mm-hmm. So for us, I really don't know that the first bout of COVID that came around really slowed anything down. It might have slowed the amount of new contracts we had coming in or new reservations from the very, very get-go. Mm-hmm. But we still had... from a manufacturing standpoint, the build process was still going. Like new builders and real estate agents, we were considered really essential employees. So that never stopped. Like the building never stopped, and we didn't see any delays in production and closing timelines for the buyers then. And then when they released everybody from that stay-at-home order, we kind of hit on this a little bit earlier. I really think we got 8 reservations in a matter of 10 days. Like it was just fast and furious. We were all over the place. We had one property, which was our model home at Bristol Estates, the model houses sometimes tend to take a little bit longer to sell when the development is just getting started. We had it on for a little bit, and just one weekend we got 3 offers. Mm-hmm. And it was right after that stay-at-home order was lifted. They all came down, and the couple that ended up purchasing it was coming from the city saying, I don't want to be in the city anymore. I don't have to be in the city anymore. Yeah. I want to be in the suburbs. And this is the house. Bang, bang, boom. Done.
Yeah. My initial thought when you asked that question, Dustin, was, thinking back to the first couple of weeks that we were experiencing this, there was so much unknown, and we really only thought that it was going to last like a couple weeks. And here we are, 9-10 months later, and we're still sort of in limbo and what's going on. Mm-hmm. But I think in the beginning, I can really only think of one person who walked away while they were in reservation because of the unknown, and they were sort of scared about that, which is a valid reason, sort of not knowing what's going to happen. This person was using their retirement money and, they were setting themselves up for the rest of their life. Unfortunately, it just wasn't right timing. And sort of the unknown was uneasy. But I think that really only happened with one person. And, I think then when it started to get like really serious and people understood like, okay, I have to stay in my house. Well, if I have to stay in my house, I want a new house. So, and hopefully by the time this is all over, my house will be ready and, that'll be a good day.
Yeah. Do you think there was a whole group of people that were going to work every day and not really spending any time in their house? And then they come and now they're locked in their house going, why do I live here? Oh my gosh. What is this?
When you can't go out to the restaurants in the city is a lot less enticing to stay there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the trade blew up. Every person I knew working trades and everyone we came across could not find a second to breathe. Because like you said, everyone got in their house and they're like, yeah, this has to change or we need to fix this. There's no reason for that to be that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we started to see it really with the supply for like vinyl fencing, right?
Yes.
Like talk about how we started to see supply because of the lockdown, because of everything.
And price.
That's been an interesting piece of it. So since the beginning, construction has been considered an essential service, which makes sense. So luckily, the way that the construction process works, there's usually one, maybe two different subcontractors in the house at a given time. Even when you drive to phase 2, you may see 8 different trucks there, but there's one group in every house. So that makes it pretty conducive. So even in COVID, there's 2 people in this house and 2 people in this house and 2 people in this house. So it allows everything to keep working. The one place where it's been a big surprise, and it was interesting because it didn't happen until about 6 months after construction started, or the COVID started. But anything that's a manufactured product has gone from could show up on time to could be 12 weeks late. And that's been a really interesting one for us as a builder to try to figure out is, how do we plan for that? And how do we make sure we're dealing with suppliers who will give us honest delivery times? Because we as a builder really strive to, be straightforward with people up front and say, hey, this is when you sign an agreement with us. This is when we'll deliver the house. And we try, as the process is going, to give people regular updates on that. With manufactured products, what we've seen is it's been all over the board. And so for us, a company that we've been working with for 15 years, okay, we have a 12-week delay. How do we as a builder respond? And how long will this kind of thing last? So as far as trades go, it's been pretty solid because we have such long-standing relationships with people. We as a company now are responding to how do we deal with this aspect of the process?
Well, what'd you say?
I said, have you figured it out yet?
And how is it for the buyers though? It's an unknown for us. And I know like Mary, we had, one house in particular, it was a windows and it was just sort of like a special order type thing. And your hands are tied. If I could go and make the windows myself, I would have, what I mean? If I could drive the truck, I would have. But if you think about people who are, selling their other houses to buy these new houses, we're very good, I think, about telling them, what the expectations are and giving them as much notice as we possibly can to let them know there is a delay, but there's nothing we can do about it because you can't have a house without windows. But you can't do the next step until you have the windows in,
Well, and it'll be every window supplier, not just one, not just because whatever that plastic is, doesn't exist right now.
If they're not familiar with the industry or really, the grand scheme of sales, it's a tough dialogue to have because they're like, no, you're the home builder. You should have the supplies. This should be ready. And you're like, I apologize, but that's just not exactly how it works.
Yeah,
it was like pressure treated lumber at one point during the summer. I don't know if anybody here tried to put a deck in, but Home Depot didn't have any for about 4 weeks. even Home Depot, the largest, supplier of consumer lumber, just didn't have pressure treated lumber.
Well, it was pavers even too. Like they ran out of pavers. You couldn't find pavers anywhere because so many people were redoing their walkways.
Yep.
I was going to say rockways. I don't know.
Rockways. I thought you were going to say pictures again. You said.
Well, the CEO of Home Depot actually said in that Lawrence Yun interview was they never planned or anticipated what has happened in in their industry to happen. So it's almost like they weren't prepared for it either. So Home Depot, Lowe's, all of these big lumber companies, they just weren't prepared. They didn't expect it.
That's what drives change in any market is things that are unexpected.
Very true. Very true. They won't let that happen again.
No. That's why we always try to do the unexpected, right, ladies? Don't we have a sign in our office that says that? Do the unexpected somewhere? Yes. Mary, it's literally above your files on your wall in your office.
Mary's office. It's in my office?
Yeah.
Oh, my Lanta.
Well, that explains it. I'm unexpected, guys.
She's always staring at her computer. She doesn't ever head up.
I don't look up. It's my computer and my phone.
So we have about 10 minutes left. So you guys want to get in some of the more important things so we don't, not that this wasn't important, but I just want to make sure that we get everything in that we want to talk with Eoghan about.
Yeah, it all really started with originally kind of what to look out for when purchasing new construction, really kind of honing in on the people who are kind of past the introduction phase. And I mean, the best way that we can help them or the best way that Eoghan and their team can help them. But in reality, what should you be looking out for?
I think the biggest thing, and Mary will back me up on this, is to ask a lot of questions. As a buyer, let's have all the conversations up front about everything you could see. I think a lot of the times if you watch like building shows on TV, they jam a whole process into 30 minutes or 45 minutes. And so there's a lot of gaps that are filled where I'm sure they're having regular conversations to say, okay, what exactly is being built here? What do you want? How do we achieve that? I think that is the thing we've learned to stress a lot more to people up front is, let's slow down at the beginning. Let's talk about everything, get it exactly right. Then give us a plan and we'll go. But making sure that first end of it is, what are you looking for? What do you want to have? Where do you see this house being in 10 years? Trying to get as many of those details wrapped up into it. I think that's the biggest thing is ask a lot of questions, have a good realtor. It is really important. We have had homeowners come with a realtor who has kind of been checked out. And that's okay if you're a very proactive homeowner, who's somebody who's knowledgeable but at the end of the day, you want somebody who is very experienced with new construction, who knows all the questions to ask to make sure they're filling in all the gaps for you, the gaps in your knowledge. There is nothing quite like somebody who's been doing this day in and day out.
There's something to be said about we've touched upon it a couple of times about communicating, and I've seen, so we're actually dealing with just a one-off house that's being built by just kind of like a builder who it's not really his job, and the communication there, we have a buyer that's purchasing that house. The communication there has been beyond
painful. It's painful. Just say it. It is painful.
I obviously no names or anything, but Eoghan, I could tell you stories and you would literally, your mouth would drop. It's just been the worst experience, but it's been something that I've noticed has been really helpful to have us who are so familiar with you guys on your end with Stonebridge say, all right, well, this actually is kind of something that normal that would come up, but this is totally unacceptable. This other thing is totally unacceptable. This would never happen. So just from the perspective of having an advocate who knows the process and knows the questions to ask, because there's Mel brought it up earlier, there's private road versus public road. Is there an HOA? Where is the septic system? Is it a shared system or is it private?
Are there any easements on my lot?
Mm-hmm. Where's the conservation? What does the site plan look like? How is the house going to be oriented? There's all these different things, and we haven't even
talked about the septic system. How big is it?
Yeah, we haven't even talked about any of the fun stuff, the interior, the design, the selections that are going into it. So having somebody to prompt those questions and set those expectations from the get-go, I think is immeasurable, in my opinion. Like the more communication you can do, those weekly updates that we do, then we can subsequently give to the buyer's agents and the buyers on our end. It just makes the process that much smoother and that much less painful.
Well, my thought process is like, if you don't know that you don't know something, then you don't know it. Like, if you don't know to ask questions. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'm sure, Mary, we've had, a couple buyers in Copperwood come to us directly, and, we were able to assist them. But, you're the one asking them these questions. And I'm sure sometimes they're like, oh, I never even thought of that. Like, oh, I have a choice. Like, oh, I have to do this. I have to think about this. Like, oh, I never, like, there's so much. But if you have somebody who knows what they're talking about and knows what they're doing and knows what the next step is, and okay, we have to do this before we do this, then that it's so helpful, and it's so much less pressure and stress. And like, you just set the expectation right in the beginning. Like, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have this meeting, and then we're going to have, the pre-selections, and then we're going to have the selections, and then we're going to do this. And like, and like you said earlier, like, it just becomes a well-oiled machine. So like, okay, I just did this, so now I got to do this. I'm going to ask this question, and then, I got to find out this. Like, so yeah, there's a lot that goes on it. But, if I went to a builder, I'd be like, all right, yeah, I just want like I want a house. One roof, please. A roof, like a roof over my head. And that's about it. That's about all I know, So it is very helpful.
Well, on that same note, is one of the things that's really nice is the process and how they take the time to every process has a checks and balances as well. And, even, the electrical walkthrough, it's, all right, you want an outlet in front of, you call it your Christmas package, right? So your holiday light package, right? So that you can have the electrical sockets in front of your windows. I mean, every little detail is thought of. I'm telling you that the basic homeowner is not going to think about that until they're ready to put the Christmas tree up, so that we can bring it to their attention.
There's no outlet that's here? Oh, shoot.
Yeah, it is literally something that we talk about all the time. And even, a recessed light in the shower, which is something that we started doing. But it's just, you might not have considered this, but this is why it functionally makes sense to put this light switch over here and not over here. And this is why we're going to do it. And this is the way the door is going to swing. Like, those electrical walkthroughs used to blow my mind. I was like, we talk about all of this?
Yeah. Even where the valve is going to go in the shower. I mean, Owen, I remember at one time, I was like, we got to move this because I'm going to get, you put the water on in the morning, it's really cold. I'm not going in there to put that water on.
We've had those electrical walkthroughs last like up to 4 hours before, 4 or 5 hours.
Oh gosh, hopefully one of them wasn't mine. Did I black that one out? Knock on wood.
I filled in for Mary and did one with Dan.
Somewhere else. I think that one was somewhere else. But we do that because we want to make sure. So for anybody who wants a little bit of understanding, we have a process up front where we explain the whole. We kind of walk through all the pieces of the house. We do the design. We have a standard list of options. We put a list together of all the upgrades. Like I said, we set this all up. We try to be as detailed as possible. Then we get a set of plans and specifications, and then we go. Between the beginning and the end, there's really one big checkpoint in the middle that we do an electrical walkthrough. And that's where we bring people in to come see the house before all the sheetrock goes up. And the idea is that we can mark out lights and stuff like that. But it's also a time for the homeowners to actually look at the house and see it before we close it up. Because sometimes there's a big difference between looking at something on paper and looking at it in person. So we try to do that just to give people a nice image of what they're going to move into.
And another thing I think is really important is when you do get in the process of new construction, we always ask, don't go to the home without us accompanying you just for liability reasons, and we don't want anyone to get hurt. But don't worry, it's not done yet, is all I want to say to people when they bring up things like, oh, I drove by the house and I noticed this. Please don't worry, it's not done yet, so there are processes to do that. I know we only have a couple minutes here, so Owen, I definitely want to make sure that everybody, you can, again, get your name, the company information out there. If people want to get in touch with you, if you want to give out some of that information, but certainly they can get through us as well.
Sure. So you can reach out to us at Stonebridge Homes, Inc. We're based in Easton, Massachusetts. We have subdivisions all over the state, and different sized homes all across the board, from custom homes to pre-built homes, model homes. So if you're looking for a new construction house, we probably have something that fits what you're looking for.
Can you give some of the towns?
Sure, yeah. We have some houses in Lakeville, Norfolk. We have some projects in Bridgewater and West Bridgewater. Obviously, we have Pembroke right now, Weymouth, and Norwell. And
nice.
More. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, do you guys want to wrap it up? Because I can also just say to all of our WATD listeners and all of you on Facebook, if you need any further information about Stonebridge Homes, certainly you can get in touch with us. Mary is our team liaison directly to them. We service all of the areas that they've talked about, but we're happy to introduce you to the other great realtors that they're working with. You want any information on the West? I have to get some West Bridgewater one. I graduated from West Bridgewater High, so I know that area. So I definitely will have to get some info on that. And I just saw Weymouth 2 weeks ago. It's beautiful. I love those. But Mary, do you want to give any other information out? And Mel?
Yeah, of course. Oh, well, that's our exit. But if you need any information about Copperwood or Bristol Estates, we're your girls. So just give us a buzz at the office, 781-826-8000.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Owen.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Owen.
We appreciate it.
Hi, Owen. Thank you.
Go take care of that baby we heard crying in the background. Supposed to be in bed. Tell her.
WATD FM Marshfield, WBMS Brockton. The South Shore's first choice for live team coverage of breaking news, emergency traffic, and severe weather. WATD. Streaming online at 959WATD.com. And with your smart speaker, just by saying play WATD.
It's time you learned about a smarter approach to investing so you can protect your future. Chris Laton of Cape Retirement Wealth Advisors, with over